All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Garage Gym Athlete Podcast. Jerred Moon here with Joe Courtney and Ryan Caswell. Gentlemen, how you doing?
Hey, yo.
Hey guys.
Great.
Love the shirt, Ryan. If you guys are just listening, it says Trophy Husband, and I mean, I think you just nailed it. Like that's such a factual statement right there.
Well, what are we doing here if not being trophy husbands, right?
Yeah, I mean, from what I know about you, you got like gymnastics, massive back squat, like Murph times. You are the trophy husband.
There's no husbands in the package.
And the beard. The beard is that's probably put you right up there in the trophy status.
It definitely adds a couple of notches up, but without the beard, my family, they don't like the face. So
yeah. If I just trim my beard, like I trimmed my beard this morning, you see how thin it is, and my kids are like, "Oh gosh, like who are you? Like what are you doing?" All right, man. Well, Ryan's been on the podcast a couple times now, and so we always put the interviewee's name in the podcast. So if you want to hear any other interviews we've done with Ryan, go check it out in the podcast feed. But today we're we're doing these reattack episodes where we're revisiting, our veteran athletes, seeing what they're up to, how they're doing, and all these good things. And so, Ryan, I'll let you do a quick intro for anybody who maybe not heard previous interviews, and then we can dive into the questions we have.
Yeah. Ryan Caswell, live in Virginia Beach, married. We have 2 daughters. They're pretty active, so I try to keep up with all of them. Been working out with Garage Gym Athletes since early 2019. Been going through all of the different tracks as I can. Started with H2K, switched to Shred for a little bit, then jumped on the BCT train for about a year. Hit up Shred again after that, and now I'm starting with strength with Joe, and he's kicking my ever-loving tail right now. So that's where we're at with that.
Have we looked at the numbers, Joe? I feel like strength track is it's making a comeback. And by comeback, I mean takeover.
I think I just ate something spicy and was just like, you know what? I'm just going to turn this next cycle up. And it's, for some reason, I guess just because it's winter, more people piled onto it. And I brought it, to say the least.
Yeah. Time for dirty bulking. Not so much the GGA focus, but I try to.
Exactly. I'm piling on the volume so that you don't feel bad when you just eat more, for the winter. You're just bulking up for the winter and for all the strength.
Oh, I don't feel bad about it.
There's no remorse.
It was the general you, not you. It was the collective you of other people.
Well, awesome, man. Well, let's dive into some of this stuff. Have you had any recent meet yourself moments in training?
Yeah, in training, yeah. I mean, where do you begin with the recent stuff? The year of BCT, when it was 3 days of squatting and 3 days of running, you meet yourself a lot in those moments. As far as training goes, we had that event, or we had a couple events this year. The Spartans kicked back off. Those were not pleasant. I ended up doing 2 beasts this year, one with the group out in Mill Spring, and then I did another solo one out in West Virginia, and that was terrible.
Is it worse solo or worse as a group?
Oh yeah, it's worse solo because you're just fighting yourself and you're just huffing and puffing along with the other thousands of people out there in the heat of West Virginia. That was not nice.
No, that's brutal.
Yeah.
So which beast of the 2 was worse?
West Virginia.
Yeah.
Yeah, West Virginia was terrible. There was one saving grace somewhere in the middle of it. There was a swim, and everybody just fell into the water and just went to heaven for however long you wanted to stay in the water, and then you got out and you just realized that you had to continue running in the heat. This was in August, so it was not nice at all. And it was just constantly uphill, up the mountain. You thought you were going down the mountain, and you realize you're just delirious and still going up the mountain. It's not.
I kind of forgot they do these things in the summer, Joe. We should maybe plan around that instead of colder times.
Yeah, I prefer the heat to freezing in 40 degrees in the rain. Yeah.
Yeah. I honestly, I felt better after the one in the colder. I felt better after the colder one. I don't know why. It was, that was in November, so maybe just because I had already done the beast in August. Not like I didn't know what I was going to expect going into the one in August, but it was just, I don't know, maybe it was just running on adrenaline at that point with the other 7 guys that we had with us.
Well, let's let's get into any struggles, man. I don't know if BCT, since we last chatted or anything, have you had any struggles with, I don't know, consistency, training in general, injuries, anything that you've been working through?
General everyday life struggles of trying to fit your workouts in. My daughters both got into some different sports, so I had to switch my training time from the afternoon evenings to the crack of dawn, and
Yeah.
I don't like that. I don't like that crack of dawn training. I much prefer the after work. Let's get the stress out. Let's exhaust yourself before bed. But when there's softball 3 times a week, and my oldest daughter was into boxing for a couple of days a week, so couldn't miss either of those because those are exciting. And then I got to get a little extra training in with those as well. But yeah, waking up every morning, it's 4 or 5 o'clock, and it's not right. The temperature is not ready for you for the garage. That was a struggle. Thankfully, that's on a pause right now, so I'm back to working out in the afternoons.
Oh, nice. So are you gonna have, when their schedules kick back up, are you going back to early morning or what?
We'll cross that bridge when we get there, probably, because I still got to take them there. My wife's in nursing school right now, so she can't be there to take the girls to their events, so I gotta be available.
Yeah, that's what I was talking to my buddy. So my oldest son, he's 9, and he plays football or whatever. So, and they're all in something, all 3 of them. So we have similar schedule, like running around different places. And I was talking to my buddy, whose son is in middle school around here, and he's like, yeah, just so you know, they start football practice at like 6:15 once they get to middle school, and there's no bus for that. That's me dropping them off. Like, so even the early morning time is going to be taken away from me here in a few years. So yeah, kid schedules definitely are a struggle in trying to fit things in.
Yeah, it's as far as the timing or just doing it every day, it's so second nature to doing it now. It's going to happen. That's not an issue. It's just getting it in. At what time can I get it in? And it's really just trying to plan ahead. All right, I got this coming up. This is the schedule for this week, and thankfully we get our schedules weekly, so it works out. Our programming weekly, so I'm able to do that.
That's awesome, man. Well, I want to talk about BCT for a second. How did that go for you?
I loved it. The reason I hopped on BCT was just because beforehand I wasn't that comfortable under the bar. For a lot of years, most of my teenage and early adulthood, I never really messed around with the barbell. It was all with body weight or dumbbells, not a whole lot of barbell work. So end of 2018, early 2019, started getting on with y'all. So made my way underneath the barbell, and then when BCT was presented, I was like, well, this is the opportunity for a year to really get comfortable with it, or attempt to get comfortable with it. And I appreciated that aspect of it. I lowered some of my weight so I can focus on having the last rep match the first rep kind of mentality. And that first cycle, I remember I would have an ugly max attempt. And then after the first month, I was up, 15 pounds, but it was a solid max attempt. And then by the end of the first 12 weeks, I think I had increased, I think it was 25 pounds with a crisp back squat, and my mile time went down to like 6 minutes. And I was messing around with some other things at the time. And I think it was when I went from trying to go from barefoot squatting to using lifters. And I think I already had a fairly deep squat. So putting on the lifters, I think, put too much pressure on the front of my knee. And it kind of tweaked it a little bit. So for the next like 12-week periods of that, I had to adjust my weight again. I had to go slower. I had to try to focus more on pause squats instead of just popping down and bouncing straight up. So I think that's also helped improve just by slowing down some more, dealing with that knee annoyance, I'll call it. But yeah, it just helps me. It helped me focus more on it. I really like the training. Maybe just because I had never really done anything like that before.
It was a fun year. I enjoyed it. I actually really love, before that year, I probably would have said I hated running, and I've always kind of like disliked it, but I've been decent at it, but I actually learned to enjoy it. I like that form of cardio more than most anything else. These days, it's just easier to go out for a run. And I think once your form gets better and you do practice it more, it's not this metabolically demanding annoyance as it was before you get to practice it a lot.
Yeah, I like the zone 2 running a lot more now than I did before BCT.
I think I've started to realize later on now, like later in training where I am, is that I prefer simplicity over anything. So keeping things fairly simple, even if it's, to a lot of people might be boring, but like, I don't necessarily need to be constantly stimulated with new stuff. It's just as long as it works and it's simple, then I'm kind of all for it versus like constant variety.
Yeah. If I'm mentally fatigued, like from work or life in general, I need simplicity. I need like minimal barbell change outs. I need like a very simple like activity. And I don't, that's just kind of where I go to when I'm like mentally fatigued. I need like the most simple form of training I could do that day. And that always works out better for me.
100% agreed. And that's how you keep going every day.
Well, let's move to a study, man. Is there a study or topic that we've covered on the podcast recently that kind of resonated with you or you liked?
Yeah. And well, I know Morgan just recently referred to the Goldilocks one, and that's a common theme for a lot of folks. So I didn't want to go with that one again, but you had another one earlier in the summer about perfectionism, and you had long-term and short-term perfectionism, and then which also was the heat acclimation episode. But try to not get burnt out is I think that was the focus of the study and how it leads to burnout, athlete burnout. So, which is somewhat similar to the Goldilocks study. It's just a different lens of it.
Right.
I try to not treat any of my workouts like it's, the end of the world. I try to focus on quality. That's the perfectionism part of it. But outside of that, I don't stress out if I don't hit a number, or if I don't reach a specific time. I want to check the box that I went in there and did it. If I got to go through the motions for a few days of the week, I went through the motions. I did it safely, did it with control, but I went through and did it, because after a few days, you're going to knock whatever funk out and you're going to continue moving forward. That's what helps, I think a lot of people, when they get so wrapped up with trying to hit numbers and hit PRs all the time, burnout can be a real problem. That was a study that I liked a lot. There's one thing that it wasn't so much a study, it was just an article that you wrote many years ago that I try to do when I'm not in the garage, and that's the train like Sasquatch. I don't know if you remember writing that one.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Train and look.
Right, working on that. I got a height issue with that one though. He's like
they make stilts.
So.
It's fine.
Yeah,
they have minis.
They have mini squatches. All right, I can be a mini squatch. I'll be a mini squatch. Yeah, no, it's outside, man. You're just picking up heavy ass logs and tossing them out of the way and being the hide and seek champion of the world. But you're just rolling around fit as can be. What's not to love about that?
Dude, those are some of my favorite workouts. I used to do them pre-kids all the time, and then that kind of slowed down. But I even have some like older videos on YouTube. I don't even know if they're still published, of me like setting up rings under a bridge and like lifting these like random like river rocks that were under the bridge and stuff for workouts. And I used to love doing those kind of workouts. Anything outside is just more fun. I got that idea from Blair Morrison, who we've had on the podcast. Like he I don't know if he still does it. He used to have this like he would take people on a trip around some new cool place every single year. You know, it'd be like maybe somewhere in China or like somewhere in Europe or whatever. And they would just like traverse the countryside of wherever they were and do like random outdoor workouts along the way. Like that was the trip, like that all these people would go on with him. And I was like, that's really cool. I was like, I don't necessarily want to go to China to do that, but I like the idea, you know, so I'll just go around here or North Carolina or whatever. But yeah, that's those are always fun.
Yeah, and you can't beat Mother Nature. I mean, she's going to find a way to hurt you one way or the other if you really put some thought into it.
Yeah, man. Well, I appreciate that. Those not getting burnt out, I think, is often overlooked. When you're trying to do something for a long time period, a lot of people, they get in, you know, whatever, a 12-week, a 6-week program, whatever it is. And then there's like, well, what happens after that? I know I was talking to my family members a lot. They just had some questions for me about motivation. It was the topic of conversation kind of over Christmas. And they were like, I'm motivated for a little while, and then how do I stay motivated? And, you know, I knock it out of the park for a couple of weeks and then I'm not motivated anymore. And it's like, motivation is like a cup of coffee. It's like, it's not going to last. Like it doesn't get you very far. Like you have to find out. You're talking about going through the motions, Ryan. Like sometimes you just have to go through it, and that rust that you're going to knock off that you're talking about, or whatever, that funk that you're in, it will go away. And I think a lot of people never make it through that. And if you can just make it through that, you know, talking to anyone on the podcast listening right now who this might be helpful for, if you can do what Ryan said and just make it through those couple of days of like forcing yourself to do something that you don't want to, you might find yourself in a completely different position in 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours, a week. It doesn't matter, but it won't be this crappy forcing yourself situation forever. Like you'll there'll be another end to that. Like you'll come out the other side and you'll feel differently.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the motivation piece, it's different for everybody. You know, some people, that's the cliche, you want to look good naked. Well, yeah, everybody wants to look good regardless of clothing status. But you know, another thing is, I'll tell you, for me, diet, I think is pretty well known. I don't have the best one. And I know if I don't work out every day or go through the motions, things are going to get pretty interesting in a not good way. I gotta metabolize those calories one way or the other. And Uncrustables, they're great for for quick energies, but all the meat and cheeses, Jerred, you gotta combat that when you can. Crispy boys on the weekend.
I love that. That's I mean, it's an honest assessment, right? Like of what you're doing, right? I had a friend like that who I used to work out with all the time when I was in high school and in college. He was like a collegiate level swimmer, and he would just work out like all the time. Like he'd swim for hours a day, and then he'd work out in the weight room with me. And then I was like, dude, why do you like do so much? And he's like, basically because my diet's awful and I want to, but I'm not changing that. So I got to keep this where it's at. And I was like, well, that is one way to approach it. You know, if you got the motivation to do that, then get it done.
Yeah. I'm not saying I'm outworking the bad diet, but I'm definitely competing with it. So
yeah, just slowly combating it. Yeah.
Yeah. You make small choices, things in moderation, and then sometimes you double that moderation and you dig yourself out of that. And like I said, it's ebbs and flows.
Yeah. Checks and balances, man. Well, what are you looking forward to in training right now? You know, going into 2022 here, anything big on your mind or something you're trying to achieve?
No, this is the first run through Strength Track. We're in the first week of it. And I think everybody who's on Strength Track right now it's Thursday. So we're all still shaky from Monday's squat assault, channeling some previous BCT moments there. No, I don't really have anything planned, some of the guys were talking about maybe doing a Ragnar run, but that hasn't really been set in stone. Just looking forward to it. I love, this is the training every day. That's my stress reliever. I enjoy it. So just the simple fact that I have that to look forward to this year is enough for me. We got some pretty big trips planned as a family, so want to make sure I can stay healthy and fit enough to keep up with everybody. Yeah, I don't need anything more to look forward to other than that.
I think that's a really good place to be, in all honesty. When you kind of have consistency locked in and you don't actually need a carrot to continue to push forward, or like a beach trip where you have to have the 6-pack or something like that. All these reasons people train. I think if you're just like excited to get it done over the next year, like I really think that's like the best place to be.
Yeah, it's so much easier. You don't have to worry about it. You just get out there and do it. Just focus on the day, and you don't got to worry about some, I can't eat for the month of May because June's going to roll around and I got to be ready for the beach. No, man, just have fun. That's the whole point of it.
Come as you are.
Yeah.
It's only going to last the first day anyway. Then after you enjoy the beach, the beach drinks and the food, you're just going to get bloated again. So it's like, what's the point?
Exactly. And that's also part about the diet. You stay calibrated to a bad diet, training every day, no problem. You just going to be what you are.
Yeah.
So you just always mix the diesel in with the gasoline.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Finely tuned athletic machine just coughs a little bit every now and again.
Yeah. You never feel bad. There's no like, oh man, why'd I eat that? I feel so horrible. Like, no, my body can handle it. I'm like, this is.
I usually sweat on my weekly Murphs. I usually sweat out the night before transgressions by, a couple of rounds into the calisthenics. It's fine.
Perfect.
Just think of it like those old like SR-71 aircrafts. Like they were all like very loose and janky, and they leak. They were just terrible, but they were built to be under pressure so that their stuff sealed. So you're just putting yourself under pressure, so all your seals are good, and then you're gonna fly right. And that's just how it is. You're gonna leak a few times, and then you're gonna be a little wobbly.
It's fine, but guess what? Still flying. Still flying.
It's not a perfect analogy, but
No, I think that was the best analogy I maybe ever heard. You just officially, what is the SR-71? I think it's the Blackbird. So Ryan Caswell is officially the SR-71 Blackbird. That is his new Garage Gym Athlete nickname. Once you put him under pressure, he's streamlined machine.
Come get it. Come try.
That's awesome. Joe, you got anything else before I get to the last question here?
I think I just imparted my beats.
That's it. Yeah, you gave him an official nickname. This is awesome. All right. Sorry, my brain's gonna run around with that Blackbird thing for a little bit, but I'm gonna get to the advice question. So Ryan, do you what's your best advice for all the Garage Gym athletes out there listening right now?
Yeah, circling back to earlier. In the study, the perfectionism, just every day show up, focus on showing up today, and getting through it with quality. Go through the motions. You'll come on the other side always feeling better. You'll never not feel better mentally. After you may hurt physically to a degree, but mentally you will feel better, and that will lead to other areas of your life improving as well. And then I know I said it on one of the other interviews that we've done, but the group, engaging with the community. I've met some of my favorite people ever in this community. We've gone on trips. I've made internet friends and met them in person for the first time on these scheduled trips. And it's been a blast each and every time. Find that group, engage in the group, and you will find the same thing.
That's awesome. Well, Ryan, we do appreciate you being as consistent as you are in the training. I think that's a huge factor in being a part of the community, actually doing the training, and you're being, incredibly consistent there. And you are a big part of the community. I always get a chuckle from some of your Facebook check-ins with just status reports and whatnot that you drop in there. So it's awesome, man, to have you part of the community and putting in the work. So we really do appreciate it.
Happy to be a part of it.
To the Garage Gym Athlete podcast. If you want to learn more, go to garagegymathlete.com. You can learn about our training. Let us send you a copy of our book, The Garage Gym Athlete, or you can even get featured on the Garage Gym Athlete podcast. Thanks for listening.